What is up, my dudes? It's Pac-Man here, and today I wanted to bring you guys 5 advanced techniques that are going to allow you to improve your game today. So today we're going to be checking out a few things like pixel peaks, slow peaking versus quick peaking. We're going to be looking at playing for trades and a few other things like that. So if you guys do enjoy this tutorial style content, I plan on doing a whole lot more in the near future. So be sure, as always, to press that subscribe button, as it really does help the channel grow a lot. But without wasting too much time, dudes, let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so the first thing that I wanted to speak about was pre-placed drones during prep phase to help you take map control faster as an attacker. Right, so let's say that you're attacking on Oregon. It doesn't really matter, you can be attacking basement or top floor here. But basically, like, what you want to do is you want to get a drone set up. If you want to take the west part of the map, so you want to take control of the west side, what you can do is you can get your drone set up somewhere like here, or potentially somewhere over in that corner. And what this is going to act as is a little cutoff point, right? So what you'll say is you'll go, hey man, like ask one of your teammates, hey, can you sit on drone 1 while I take control, right? And so they're sitting on it like, yeah, no one's crossed, and you know, because you've been sat on that drone during prep phase, that no one has crossed into small tower, right? So then rather than having to drone out showers, top small tower, kitchen, white hallway, and so on, right? You just know that there's no one there. Now, if you're sitting on a drone during prep phase and someone, potentially does run past, or someone is coming from Z, you're sitting on this drone, someone does cross over, you just have to make that judgment call. So now you know there's someone in kitchen, and that's information. So what I would probably do on that information is actually go for that kill and try and, still take the ground that you need to take, but go for that kill, right? You can kind of supplement this with multiple drones left around the map. Like this is another one upstairs in Trophy. So this is going to tell me if anyone's crossed basically upstairs, because we've got a drone around white stairs, so we'll be able to hear the sound cue. And then you've got a drone that's actually watching for Trophy, and this works for basically any map, and it's really effective in ranked, not so much in scrims, because yeah, it's just drones become even more valuable, I guess, in scrims to a certain extent. But for the most part, in ranked, yeah, this is a really powerful way to take as much control as you want and save yourself a ton of time. Okay, so keep this one in mind, dudes. Okay guys, the next thing I want to talk about is basically pixel peaks, right? And the power of holding pixel peak angles in comparison to holding like angles that really don't protect yourself, right? So I'm going to show you it from an attacker's perspective and show you the difference in how it looks, right? So let's say we're attacking basement on Oregon. We're coming down Laundry stairs, and you go to start checking these angles. Boom, immediately you're going to see this Wamai that's just kind of standing out in the middle of nowhere. That's a pretty easy kill, right? Because I'll just have a look and peek out and take the shot. Right, now, if the Wamai was to hold potentially a better angle, a pixel angle, it's going to put him in a much more advantageous position, right? So if I'm peeking out, that's a much smaller target, and he actually has that information a lot sooner than he would have if he was holding the same angle from there. Now, I'm going to show you what that looks like from my perspective. Sam, if you wouldn't mind rotating over to bottom laundry. So first, this is what it's going to look like for me when I'm holding the standard angle. Like, yeah, you get that information, but it's kind of like a 50-50 gunfight, and really his peeker's advantage is actually going to give him the advantage in this situation, right? But in comparison, when I hold this much tighter angle, I'm so much more protected, but I still have the information that I need to play off, right? So if I can see him jiggle peeking, I can lean out like this and take my shot. So even though I'm the one that's protecting the angle, because usually when it comes to peeker's advantage, the one that's taking the angle sort of has the advantage there because of ping and the way that peeker's advantage works, but I can actually give that advantage back to myself because I could strafe out and take the ping. Okay, so what you want to be doing is you never want to find yourself kind of out in the middle of nowhere holding angles, and it even be like this, right? So if you were holding from bottom laundry, you never want to find yourself out in the middle of nowhere just holding these angles, or you don't want to be holding pillar like this, because you're just going to get slammed off peeker's advantage, right? But it can be much more. It can be much stronger if you're holding maybe like the whole way from like, a tight pixel angle, and then you can work off that and strafe and shoot. So it's a little bit of a complex topic to talk about. Really, it deserves a whole video on its own. But just be aware of the angles that you're playing, and always try and keep yourself protected by using pixel peaks. Alright guys, when we were just talking about that last section on pixel peaks, I thought it important to kind of mention the difference between slow peaking and quick peaking. I have talked about this in the past, but it is a super important concept that I think there's still a lot of kind of confusion around to an extent, or just a lack of knowledge. Where's this radio at? Alright, get rid of that radio real quick. But basically, I'll show you the difference. Sam, if you want to just show us what a slow peak will look like, right, out around the corner. Right, if Sam's taking that angle, or if I'm holding from here, slowly peek out the corner. Yeah, so that's kind of what that looks like, right? Where you're just taking a position, but you're doing it very slow, in comparison to maybe hitting that a little bit harder, a little bit faster, Sam. You know, when he's taking that position, he's dipping the head out a little bit quicker. It becomes a little bit more difficult to trace him, right? And like, especially if you've been a bit unpredictable with it, you're crouching underneath as you go, right? So let's say when I'm doing it, what it would look like from my perspective is if I wanted to kind of like clear this position. If I do this, I'm basically wrecked. Like, realistically, I'm wrecked. Like, I'm not gonna stand a chance against someone that's holding an angle on this doorway, right? But if I rather than slowly peek out and try and find everyone, because there's so many angles you've been exposed to in the same respect that you don't, he's not necessarily going to be there. Rather than do that, if I'm to kind of like take each angle individually, I stand a better chance, right? It's a better way of face checking it. And it's going to stop you from basically being killed more often. And people sometimes think that like slow peeking, because you're like in a little bit more control and you're checking all these angles and you're doing it like this, you're being more safe, you're being more cautious, and therefore it's going to lead to you dying less. Actually being scared in these situations is what's going to get you killed, especially when you're going up against guys that know what they're doing to an extent, right? So it's much better, and that's why you'll always see, pro league players. I'm not saying I got that pro league mechanics, but like you'll always see guys, high level guys, taking angles fast, right, and strafing out into angles as they go. So you're always going to be, regardless of the angle, you're always going to be kind of taking them fast, rather than slowly. Oh, maybe they're in attic, maybe they're over here, because you're just going to get beamed by someone. Right, so always remember, take your angles fast and try not to slow peek out around corners. Alright guys, so another really important topic to cover is basically playing for trades, and it's something that honestly I see so many people just simply not doing, if I'm being completely honest with you. And trading is basically when you're just playing for a minimum of a 2v1, right? So I'm going to try and trade my Ash. I'm going to try and trade Sam when we're pinching a Roamer or something along those lines. Because what we don't want to happen is for Sam to go and solo push a Roamer, lose the gunfight, and then immediately we're in a 4v5. Best case scenario, the Ash will win their initial gunfight, or we can take them down together, pinch them, and we go up a player. We take out the Roamer and job done. But what we want to do is we want to just give ourselves the protection so that we're not going into a man disadvantage, and we're at least getting the trade, minimum getting the trade, and we're taking the map control, right? Especially as an attacker, and this goes for defenders as well. You should be trying to play off each other as a defender. So what we don't want, right, is let's say for Sam to come across. And let's say we're trying to pinch a cheeky private moist in cash, right? So if we're trying to pinch it, what you don't want is for Sam to take this corner and get deleted, right? And for me to be, on drone out here or something along those lines, or nowhere near close enough to be able to trade. What you do want is for something like this to happen, right? So if Sam goes to take the corner and gets deleted by the moist, we can get the trade. Right, so just something along those lines, right? That's a pretty basic and simulated example of it, but that's kind of how it works, right? You just want to be able to be there to trade each other out, and this goes for both attacking and defending. Alright guys, so the last thing that I wanted to touch on today is basically acting on drones, right? So acting on the information that your droners give you. Okay, and so what this basically means is that when you're actually droning a map and you're taking control, like let's say we're playing on Clubhouse, they're playing in basement, we're trying to clear top floor, you're droning through and whatnot, right? So what a lot of people will do is they'll drone through, or their droners will drone through, and there won't be, you might see 3 or 4 drones flicking around the map, but there's no one to actually take control, and no one's actually using the information on that drone, right? So let's say I go through into cache, I'm having a look, there's a vigil here, I try and get my drone out, usually they'll take it out straight away, right? Now, basically, you know, if our entry fragger isn't there to actually straight away act on that information, we've kind of just lost a drone, and I'm gonna have to get my drone out again and re-drone him back through. So this time, you know, what a better use. This time now he probably will follow up on that information, but what a better use of drones will be for your actual entry players to take the control alongside the droning that you're doing, because it both saves time and is better for drone economy in general, right? So this time, let's say, you know, if my entry player is to step up, if you want to come through, right? So we're droning through, CC clear. You know, you're having a look. You say he's crouched behind, you know, CC table or whatever, and then you can make that call and take control, right? So this time you may still lose that one drone, but at least the entry player is going to be able to, yeah, you know, peek out and get the kill. Take control. It's better for drone economy, and it saves time. It's a better way. Be ready to act on the information that the drones give you. Okay, it's a much better way to play it. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. So just for a quick recap, we looked at, you know, pre-placing drones around a map to save time. We looked at pixel peeking and basically how to, you know, hold better angles. We also looked at slow peeking versus quick peeking and which one's better for what reasons. We looked at, you know, playing for trades in situations, and also then how to act on the information that your drones are actually giving you, and really just how to drone a little bit more efficiently, right? So although these things might seem, you know, relatively fundamental or a little bit like nitpicky, I guess these are really the difference makers, guys, in the kind of caliber of player, right? And having an understanding of these concepts is going to allow you to, you know, I guess, you know, knowing these things aren't just going to immediately make you a diamond, but these are just fundamentals of Siege at a decent level that you need to understand, okay? So hopefully you can take this, you know, come away from this video with a few things learned, and you can try and implement it into your own game. And guys, there are tons and tons and tons of little tips and techniques like this, right? Like slightly higher level techniques. So if you guys want to see that, just let me know down in the comments. You know, if this video gets, let's call it 1,500 likes, then I'll make a part 2 to this series, okay? And as always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, without wasting too much time, dudes, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.